Build a website you love with Wix, where your words create you.
U.S. House Democrats have released a new batch of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, and it features some big names. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Steve Bannon are all named in copies of Epstein's daily schedules released on Friday by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. These daily schedules are from 2014 to 2019 and show that Epstein had plans to meet with Republican donors Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and conservative commentator Steve Bannon. The schedules make reference to Musk possibly flying to an island in 2014 and Thiel and Bannon apparently dining with Epstein as recently as 2017 and 2019. Epstein's relationships with Bannon, Thiel, and Musk have all been previously reported, but the documents have not. The committee Democrats did not give Republicans advance notice before releasing the tranche, and the GOP side accused them of cherry-picking documents while concealing others that could implicate Democratic officials. The schedules come from a third tranche of documents turned over to the panel in response to its subpoena of the Epstein estate in August. The batch contains 8,544 documents, including Epstein's 4 logs from 2002 to 2005, flight logs from his aircraft between 1990 and 2019, daily schedules from 2010 to 2019, and financial ledgers. In the released daily schedule, Musk is listed in a 2014 entry reading, "Reminder, Elon Musk to Island December 6th. In a post on X on Friday, referencing a news story about the document's release, Musk wrote, "This is false." Musk has previously been quoted as saying that Epstein had invited him to the island, but he declined. On November 27, 2017, entry lists a noon lunch with Peter Thiel. Thiel is a billionaire venture capitalist who has been a major donor to Republicans. An entry on February 16, 2019, just months before Epstein's death, lists a 7 a.m. breakfast with Steve Bannon. Bannon is a close Trump ally who served as a White House senior counselor during the president's first term. The new documents also mention Britain's Prince Andrew. A flight manifest records that Prince Andrew was on a flight with Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell from New Jersey to Florida on May 12, 2000.
And accelerate trade within each other.
For all the latest news, download the WeOn app and subscribe to our YouTube channel during the president's first term. The new documents also mention Britain's Prince Andrew, a flight man.
Prince Andrew, man. Daffy Duck, Peter Thiel, Prince Andrew, all on the Epstein's list. That's the Lord exposing these devils, man. Psalm 58, verse 3, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. They estranged. Let's look at this word. No longer close to affectionate to something alienated. Someone is estranged means to have a relationship with a former close friend or a family member that has been broken, characterized by a lack of communication and affection, and often by emotional distance or conflict. It indicates a state of alienation where the connection has been lost, and the individuals are living separate lives, often with no desire or expectation of reconciliation. Separate lives. I'm going to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. It's your brother, Rabbi Knapp. Lord's will, this is edifying to the Lord's elect. You know, you see the elites on this list. It's not a surprise, you know, if you had the whole world, we're gonna have the forces of the Gentiles. Okay, but the difference between the wicked And the righteous is they do it wickedly. You know, kids are missing. They set up Christian organizations in certain foreign countries and act like they're pushing the word, but then kids are missing. And then they get kicked out like Baraka Burke. Okay? It's wicked. Let me see if I can grab this. Control F. Isaiah 60 verse 5, then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. Let's look at this in chat. You know, so the wicked, they own everything, but they do things in secret. The Lord kept tabs on their asses. And he brought it out. Even the Prince of England can't even hide his wickedness. As a matter of fact, I think not too long ago, when they started bringing out these Epstein files, there was women that were gonna come out and speak, and she got put to death. I forgot that girl's name. She was ready to testify. Nope, got smoked. That's why these women are scared to come out. But he's already exposed. It's deeper than the Epstein files. He's Esau Edom. Okay, chat. Isaiah 60 verse 5. Isaiah 60 verse 5, meaning. This verse is part of Isaiah's prophecy about Zion's future glory. Zion's Jerusalem, or you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. It describes how Israel, once desolate and oppressed, will be lifted up and exalted when the Lord gathers his people and establishes his kingdom. So who are his people? They're the Israelites. When did he gather them? He hasn't gathered them yet, because of Deuteronomy 28 verse 64. They're all over the place. They need to be gathered from the four winds of the earth when he brings destruction to this place and brings them back into that land. Thus showing you that there are biblical descendants of Israel in the land of Israel, but majority of them are fulfilling being the Gentiles, fulfilling the time of the Gentiles. Okay, Luke 21 and verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And that it's not fulfilled yet. They got to be destroyed. So there's Gentiles there. Okay, let's see what this is talking about. Luke 21:24 prophesies the destruction of Jerusalem, the deaths of its people by the sword, and their forced exile to all nations, which the city itself being trampled by Gentiles. This event occurred in 70 AD with the Roman destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. The verse also refers to the times of the Gentiles, a historical period. See, he thinks it's the past tense. It was present tense, during which Gentile nations rule over Jerusalem and the Promised Land, which began with its destruction and will continue until a future as yet unfulfilled time. That's right. You know, so that's what's going on right now. And the Lord hasn't returned Israel back into the land. And we're mourning, we're crying, we want to go back home. Okay, we want to rule. We want peace. We want to dwell in green pastures. Okay, that's having sovereignty. That's having the Lord on our side again. That's not worrying about our enemies ruling over us. Okay, but a lot of you're resting right now. This is your rest. Well, you think it's your rest until you find out it's not. You're gonna to find that out soon. This verse, where am I? Isaiah 60 and 5, this verse is part of Isaiah's prophecy about Zion's future glory, which is the kingdom. It describes how Israel, once desolate and oppressed, will be lifted up and exalted when the Lord gathers his people and establishes his kingdom. This is a kingdom that's going to last forever. And under his rulership, there's not going to be any war anymore, according to Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. Let me go over there real quick. Isaiah 2, verse 1, God's universal reign. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. But this applies to all Israel. But at this time during Isaiah, the northern kingdom was already here in America. You can read about that in 2nd Ezra 13, 40 on down. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. So mountains and hills represent governments, and our government is non-existent. Okay? You don't have your own people representing you like it tells you to do in Deuteronomy 17, verse 15. You're supposed to set up a king of your brethren. That's not going on here. Esau is your king. Okay, he's the one who rules over you, I should say. Isaiah 2, verse 3, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So you're supposed to be going there so you can learn about the word of the Lord. And no one's going up to Tel Aviv to learn anything about the Lord. If anything, you're learning how to not serve the Lord. Okay? There's nowhere in the Bible where it tells you to put a little piece of paper in the Wailing Wall. Okay? That's not an Israelite custom. All right? Isaiah 2, verse 4, and he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. And it looks like they're learning war even more because they're implementing new things. As a matter of fact, I was just looking at Russia. They got a hybrid drone or some shit. I didn't even look into it, but just new shit's constantly being introduced into the battlefield. They're not beating their swords into plowshares. Swords are your weapons, your military capability, and into farming utensils and things like that. That's not what's happening. If anything, they're turning their plowshares into swords right now. Okay, Isaiah 2, verse 5, O house of Jacob, come ye and let us walk in the light of the Lord. They don't walk in the light of the Lord. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Let me get this. They please themselves in the children of strangers. Isaiah 2, verse 6 describes God's forsaking his people, the house of Jacob, because they were filled with wealth, foreign customs from the east, and practices of divination rather than relying on God. Exactly, man. Just breaking the laws, transgressing, sinning, came with a judgment that we're still dealing with to this day. This self-reliance and adoption of pagan practices led them away from God, resulting in a spiritual decline and an invitation to divine judgment as they value material possessions and idolatry over their covenant with the Lord. And that's the same place that most Israelites are in today. And they please themselves and the children of strangers. Yeah, you want to follow the heathen. Isaiah 2, verse 7, their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Isaiah 2, verse 7, their land is also full of silver and gold, and there is no end to their treasures. Their land is also full of horses. This verse describes a state of material, military wealth that the people of Judah trust in, but which will ultimately not save them from coming judgment of the day of the Lord. And it ain't gonna happen for Esau either. Wickedness is gonna get paid back with the proper recompense. I forgot what precept I was looking for. Oh, Jeshurun. Deuteronomy 32 verse 15, but Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxen fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. Yeah, you when you wax fat, you were comfortable. And that's the thing that Jake loves to do. They love to get comfortable. You know, they want to be at peace, at ease, everything easy, no suffering. That is weak. Get out of that mindset. Micah 2 and 10. Jeshurun, the upright one, is a poetic and affectionate term for Israel found in the Hebrew Bible, most notably in the books of Deuteronomy and Isaiah. While primarily used as a term of honor, indicating Israel's ideal upright character, it is used in Deuteronomy 32 verse 15 to express reproach when the nation deviates from its moral ideal. The name is derived from the Hebrew word yashar, meaning to be right or straight. And you wax fat. That's what Jake does when he get money, man. And we did that in ancient times, and what did it do? It made us fall. Okay. That's why we need to repent. Isaiah 2 verse 8, their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. Talking about your gods that you made up. Ezekiel, the 8th chapter, goes into a couple of different gods. The Lord exposing the gods you were worshiping in the temple, showing you how wicked you Israelites are. They're wicked. Ezekiel 8 and 13, he said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. I should start up. Visions of abominations in Jerusalem. I just want to get to the point. I'll start at Ezekiel 8 and jump down 8 and 7. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold the door. And he said unto me, Go in and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. So that's what the Lord was exposing to Ezekiel, who was a prophet, and that's what the Lord's doing with us, who are watching, who are constantly on their watch. They're seeing things. They're filtering through the scriptures. They're understanding the abominations that Ezekiel was learning the abominations that were done in that time, and we're learning the abominations that are done in this time via the internet. This is the whole. We get to see you Israelites. We get to see the black fatigue that, the things that are going on that pretty much is just a reproach. You're just a proverb. Okay, just all the crazy shit you see about Jake on the internet and the news. Shit he's doing. Let me jump down. Ezekiel 8 verse 13. He said unto me, Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat woman weeping for Tammuz. Okay. An ancient Mesopotamian and Levantine deity. Okay. So why you worshiping that? The Lord didn't tell you to do that. Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord Yahweh, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, which is 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worship the sun toward the east. It's just worshiping the sun. Then he said unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here? For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger, and lo, they put the branch in their nose. Okay. And I thought that was some just heathenistic thing, but there's a ritual that, when you look into it, there was some form of a ritual. As a matter of fact, when you Google it, to put the branch to their nose primarily means to brazenly and impudently provoke God's anger. The phrase is an ancient idiom found in the Bible in Ezekiel 8:17, referring to people engaging in hateful idolatry and violence, acting as if their deeds are trivial, thus thumbing their noses at God. It can also refer to specific pagan ritual involving carrying a branch or incense to show worship to an idol or to ward off evil. So, I read something else about it, but pretty much paganistic practices. Ezekiel 8 verse 18, therefore will I also deal in fury. My eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity. And though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them. Okay, so they're still doing this shit today. These same practices are being implemented in the Holy Land. All right, so just looking at Daffy Duck and all these other people, man, it's just Esau being a damn devil, man. That's why he got to get up out of there. Ecclesiastes chapter 7. And I can't find it. Control F. Ecclesiastes 7 verse 13, consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which he have made crooked? Okay, the Lord created his devil to be that way. Everything he does, it got to be in a wicked fashion. Teaches that God is sovereign over all things, including the difficult and unexpected events of life. Crooked things. The verse urges people to recognize God's providential hand in all circumstances, both good and bad, and to avoid futile attempts to change what God has ordained. Instead, individuals should acknowledge their limitations and entrust themselves to God's control, understanding that no one can alter his works or triumph over his will. That's right. Ultimately, it means Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, was created to be this way. Okay, and you can't change him. Who can make him straight? That the Most High made crooked? Nobody. He made him that way. So as long as he's like that and he's in a high position, kids are going to be missing, blood's going to be drunk, and he's going to be Esau. He needs to get the hell up out of there. Okay. He got the fatness of the earth, and he's living good. He's doing his thing. This is in Boston.
Wild piece of video here. 24 robbers storming their way into a California jewelry store, ready to smash and grab whatever they can. Cameras recorded, as you can see, the entire.
Damn, they came out with hammers drawn and everything. You niggas look like fucking wild beasts. Smash and grab. They probably stole all the clothes they got. See what happens when you don't get judged? Now look at everyone, they'll come in deep and do some shit like that.
Ready to smash and grab whatever they can. Cameras recorded, as you can see, the entire crime.
And as WBZ's Chris Tanaka shows us, that footage helped police quickly track down some of the suspects.
So when they went in, they basically took over the store.
It was on a Monday afternoon when police say nearly 25 suspects, at least 3 on.
Them niggas can't hold guns for nothing, man. And you know, they always send the young boys in there and you can gas them up. He got a damn pickaxe. It's gonna be an evil time in these last days, man. And UINs, man, you gonna get caught, man. You gonna get caught. You gonna cry in court. He gonna send you to Ecuador, and you're gonna die in prison.
Armed with guns, stormed Heller Jewelers in San Ramon, California.
Crowbars and the pickaxes, and basically taking whatever jewelry was available.
Cell phone video shows the suspects locked in the store. At least one fired a shot to break the glass door open.
Oh my gosh, dude's firing out the door, man. Dumbasses. All 20 of y'all went in there and they locked the door behind you. You're fucking stupid as shit.
Police say this was a security measure put in place after the store was robbed 2 years ago. Now a security guard has to press a button to let people out.
What ended up happening was once the suspects went in, the door locked behind them.
A newly acquired drone captured the suspects trying to flee.
Oh shit, they already got the drones out on your ass. Shit. They can see anything. That's that hawk in the sky.
6 getaway cars were waiting about 100 feet away in the valet area.
It shows all the suspect vehicles, as well as all the suspects entering, leaving their cars and entering their.
Police
It's like real life GTA over there in LA, man. That's some real life GTA shit that they're doing. Like they got the mindset of a fucking video gamer. That's why they do that shit. They're not in their right mind at all. The way that they even did it is just like, and drove off with 6 getaway cars. Those dudes had to have been like 15 years old.
Sued the suspects until the chase posed a danger to the public. But with the help of nearby law enforcement and detailed footage of the suspects' actions, police were able to quickly arrest 7 of the nearly 24 involved. All 7 are from Oakland, ranging in age from 17 to 30.
17 to 31. 31-year-olds hanging out with 17-year-olds doing heists. Dumbasses. And I bet you them young boys snitched on them. It was probably the older guy who snitched on them. You don't do crimes with motherfuckers who are fucking 30-something years old. Those motherfuckers probably already been in jail before, and they're more likely to snitch. Nah, he did it, because you ain't gonna do any time. So they'll tell on your ass, man. This is a snitching ass culture, and you got a bunch of co-defendants doing. You know, new generation is stupid as shit, man. You know, but the 5 that got away, you think they're gonna give you money and pay for lawyers and shit like that? No. They're probably not even gonna write you. They're probably gonna be fucking your girl, and then disappear by the time you come home, because you probably gonna do at least. No, I don't know. It's California. They're a little more strict out there. If you did this shit in Boston, I don't know. I don't know. This you got guns drawn. This is a serious crime right here. And you covered your face too, so this was like meditated, and he's shooting out the window in I think 500 feet within a dwelling, smoked. And then if you don't tell, the people who weren't shooting guns and shit, and you think, oh, I ain't gonna tell on my boy, you gonna get smoked the worst. They're gonna charge you with the same crime as if you were the shooter. All you had to do was repent and serve the Lord. You know you're not supposed to steal, but you're like a bull caught in a net. You know, you just... Ultimately, this word ain't for everybody, but this is what Ezekiel was talking about, violence. You know, that's what that mindset comes with, not knowing the Lord. Ultimately, it's some form of an idol. Mammon, they worship money. Now, they might not make an idol and bow down on it and say, please, you know, but they worship money, man.
Believed to be connected to similar crimes across the Bay Area.
This is not their first time doing something like this.
So far, police have recovered 2 guns and some jewelry left behind. Many of the getaway vehicles had been reported stolen. Despite the arrests, the group still managed to escape with roughly $1 million worth of goods.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. That's crazy, man.
It's definitely a well-orchestrated event that requires a lot of investigation on the back end.
Police warned that the group won't stay hidden for long, and when they're caught, it could be the key to solving several crimes in the region.
$1 million, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let's say about 15. I want to see what once they divvy it up, what it would look like.
Chris Tanaka, WBZ News.
I want to see. Let's do the math. What is $1 million divided by 15? That's evil. 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, man. Demonic, man. Demons, man. 2/3. That's a spirit right there, man. That is a spirit. Book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 6. Nope. Exodus 20 and verse 15. Thou shalt not steal, so you're not supposed to steal. You should know better than that. Y'all are Israelites, right? You were created to be righteous. You should have some form of zeal to understand that you're not supposed to do that. Zechariah chapter 12. This is 13. Zechariah 13 verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. That's talking about the elect. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my power. Or God. God means power. But the point is 2 parts shall be cut off and die, okay, which is 66.666667. $1 million divided by 15. Now, there might have been more or less. I just counted 14 or 15 in that frame. So that's what looked like they would have $66,000 each, which is a nice little come up for 15 minutes of work. But you had to steal cars too, so that's more jail time. You stole the car, the mask, the gun, the robbery. I don't know what robbery over $1 million worth. That might even, you might be looking at a lot of time, man. Okay. Some crazy stuff, man. jewelry heist. What do you think they're gonna do when they need to eat? Okay, they're gonna go crazy, man. But what's up with ICE in Portland? Why I'm not seeing that? I'm not seeing that. What's this? Zelensky 90 billion arms deal with the United States. Oh shit.
Did you know that Simply Choose...
This dude, man. He started making money. Oh, look at this nigga Young Thug looking like a white boy, man. That dude's a joke.
Now, after the hour, breaking news. This happening just moments ago. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky announcing a $90 billion arms deal with the United States. That deal allegedly includes long-range weapons and drones. This as, of course, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov addressed the UN General Assembly today. Stephanie Bennett live with more. We talked last hour, Stephanie, that things are changing moment by moment, and it appears that indeed is the case.
Yeah, hey Kevin, it's one of those days, another busy day where things change by the minute almost. Now, he said Russia has been and remains open to negotiations on eliminating the root causes of the conflict, but Russia's security and vital interests must be reliably agreed. He also spoke on those accusations against Russia of planning to attack NATO countries, after many have accused Moscow of violating their airspace with jets and drones in recent weeks, which the Kremlin has denied.
Russia is being accused of almost planning to attack the North Atlantic Alliance and the European Union countries. President Putin has repeatedly debunked these provocations. Russia has never had and does not have any such intentions. However, any aggression against my country will be met with a decisive response.
And earlier this week, President Donald Trump announced a major shift, writing on Truth Social that he thinks
Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. Oh my God, he gonna win the Crimea back and everything? You out of your fucking mind, man. If you still believe this shit, Mr. 24 Hours, he gonna stop the war. Now Ukraine is gonna get all their land back with this great deal he gave them. He's full of shit, man. This dude's full of shit. I Show Speed. This nigga I Show Speed almost lost his life today, man. He jumped off a building and the fucking bungee cord rope was the link was broken. Almost got sacrificed, man. You can't trust these devils, man. That's what happens when you go after the bag. They just do whatever the fuck they want with you, man. They can get rid of you whenever they want. You're getting all this money and you're a damn clown. They would have sacrificed your ass, watched everybody, and they might do that too. They might use you as a distraction. You know, sacrifice to some pagan god that you worship mammon. They can use you as your disposable. He almost died. Damn fool. New clues after body found in singer D4VD's Tesla. This nigga gonna kill the bitch, put her in the Tesla, make videos about it. That shit's wicked as hell. That's what they do. They create some controversy around you. So everyone, that's how you get your fame now. You gotta have blood on your hands, man. Kill your girlfriend that you love so much if you wanna be rich and famous. Oh, yeah, but she's pregnant. Yeah, even better. They don't give a fuck. It's another Israelite kid, man. See what kind of laws they pass? They don't give two shits. You want to chase these devils' wealth, man. Better read Psalm 73. Man pleads not guilty to murdering parents day after confessing to killing them in TV interview. I watched that shit. He said he was doing them a favor. That's a spirit created for vengeance, man. Your kids are gonna kill you, man. He choked his father to death, and then he used a rope to kill his mother. And he said, they asked him, "Are you remorseful?" He said, "No. I had to do it. Some things just, you know, it sucks to do, but we got to do it." You know, more Americans live in RVs as cost of owning a home rises. Let's see.
This land doesn't belong to one of us.
Shit, I live in an RV. Give me a nice RV, I'll fucking move into that motherfucker.
It actually has a queen-size bed, which is hard to believe.
For Gus Francis, this is home. A 20-year-old camper he bought for $5,000, parked in an RV lot in Graysville, Tennessee, just north of Chattanooga.
I got all my rosaries for protection everywhere. Books.
Now retired, he worked for decades as a commercial diver and hoped to live closer to his widowed mother. But when he sought a more conventional home,
I just can't see how people with a normal job making $15 an hour can afford an apartment without multiple roommates.
Are you able to use this for now or no?
No, I don't use it at all. I eat a lot of soup.
Yeah, soup is great.
meals are made in the microwave, the stove unused for fear of a gas leak. Right next door is Debbie Williams.
Welcome to my house. Over here's the grandkids, see?
Oh, cute, yeah.
And that's Seven's name.
The littlest one.
Yeah.
She sold her house in Kentucky to be closer to her grandchildren, but housing prices near Chattanooga increased by almost 50% since 2020.
Apartments are like about $1,200 a month, but then you got your utilities to pay. This is permanent. Plus, it it's like $550 a month, includes electric, water.
So you're saving over
and
50%.
Trash, everything. It includes everything.
Debbie works nights, helping adults with disabilities, and says she likes her setup, even if the exercise bike doesn't fit inside.
Bathroom, yeah.
Okay.
I like my shower. It's really nice. And then my bedroom.
Debbie and Gus now among the nearly 500,000 people in the U.S. living in RVs full-time.
I sometimes thought, man, if I could have saved more money in the past, but what it was is I don't blame myself either because I raised 4 kids with no child support.
Despite the tight quarters, plenty of room to build a community that matters. Ellison Barber, NBC News, Graysville, Tennessee.
We thank you for watching, and remember...
Hey, that's the way to go, man. I respect it. $550. She's saving a lot of money. You got a clean water tank. Yeah, you can do it. Shit, I used to live out my car, shit. An RV's better than living out your car. But everyone's gonna be seeking some alternative way of living in the near future, especially when you ain't got no money to spend, no job. You're gonna need a digital ID. Ain't nothing wrong with getting a digital ID, but we know what it's gonna lead to. There's no law that says you can't have a digital ID. Okay, but you know, brothers know that's gonna lead to the MOTB. 3 men sentenced to life in prison for home invasion that left man dead and mother paralyzed. And you know, and 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter talks about that, man. How that, Matthew 24, the love of many shall wax cold. You know, these type of men, you know, they're doing these type of crimes, like I said, when things are going good. But when shit get hard, there's gonna be a lot of kicked doors, a lot of single women out here now. You know, you gonna wish you had a man in that time. Not that guarantees you gonna be all right. Some men don't give a fuck you got a man. If they got a gun in their hand, if they got coming in with force, this is why you need a man of the Lord, because these situations will it'll work in his favor. You know, even if they do kick down the door and do all this shit, and rob and steal or whatever shit, you might be able to still be all right because the Lord's dealing with them. You know? But you might be with a man who got a gun and somebody kicked down the door and they got guns and they put everyone to death. It's all the Lord, man. If you ain't with the Lord, you're going to be fucked. Literally. Tells you you're going to be ravished. Let me grab that. And your wives ravished. And your wives ravished. Isaiah 13 and verse 16. Let's go to BibleReference.com. As a matter of fact, yeah, Isaiah 13 and 16. It says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Ravished means raped, if you didn't know. You know, especially in a time where there's no law. Nobody gives a fuck about the police, man. There's some wild ass animals out here, man. And they're not gonna give a fuck. What does Isaiah 13:16 mean? Isaiah does not shy away from predicting that what will happen to the people of Babylon when the Lord's judgment comes. The armies the Lord has summoned will attack the city it invaded. There will be no difference for those who run to those who stay behind. The cruel and ruthless soldiers will carry out utter destruction without mercy. The scenes are grotesque, with gut-wrenching imagery meant to inspire a sense of horror. Infants will be murdered in view of their parents. The treasures of their homes will be carried off. The wives of the men of Babylon will be raped. I'm surprised Bible Reference they broke it down. Though God was the one who arranged for Babylon to fall to foreign armies, he is not directing these specific acts to occur. The deeds themselves were common in warfare of the ancient world. That's right. In fact, part of God's judgment on that nation comes as they experience what they inflicted on others to gain dominance. Those who kill the innocent because they do not value them often live to see their own innocent loved ones destroyed in the same way. Babylon itself was used as a tool to punish Assyria, and so will be judged for their own sins. Likewise, those who conquer Babylon will answer to God for their actions. Yeah, but ultimately, it's talking about here in America. Babylon is America, and these things are going to happen for what they did to the children of Israel. In all this misery, the Babylonians will be crushed to realize that their false gods cannot protect or save them. The message written to Israel is clear. Israel, talking about you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, they are to trust in the Lord and in him alone to protect them. He is their only hope to escape the slaughter that comes for those who become the object of the Lord's anger. And that's what it's for. That's the whole point of it. Isaiah 13 and 16. And you better wake up. Better wake up. I don't even know where to start. So he's talking about the armies too. Never mind the the random men that are trying to look for food and rob and steal. But the actual military that you think is here to help you, man, they ain't gonna be here to help you. You got some people coming from different states. He's sending National Guard troops from different red cities. He's sending National Guard troops from Republican states to come over here. And then he got blue states going in the red states. And you can see they're not right in their head, man. They already look at you like you assassinated their top speaker. So they full off. They drunk off Fox News. They drunk off ABC and CBS. News, alternative news stations. They're not filtering this stuff from the scriptures. The things you see online, that's what they believe in. That's how Esau's. He's very stupid. He's not a smart person. Not all of them, but I'm talking about the vast majority of people, especially from the Edomite community. They rely on this propaganda. This is what they thrive on. Talking shit about so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that makes them feel good, even though in a roundabout way it's going to affect them in the long run. But they don't see that. They just see you being punished, and they're just happy they ain't you. But the Lord's going to turn it all on their ass anyway. And that's when they're going to try to Egyptian against Egyptian. They're gonna fight after, once they start getting persecuted the same way you guys are. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay, I think 2 Ezra 16 verse 21, behold, the victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, death, and great confusion. Okay, so victuals are like food in these stores and all of that. You're going to think you count yourself in good case. You're going to think that's going to last there, but that's going to be it. And the dead shall be cast out as Salakia. 2 Ezra 16 verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So if you don't die from the famine, the sword's going to destroy you. And that can come in the form of you getting shot to death, thermonuclear missiles, executed, whatever. And the dead shall be cast out as dung. Dung is shit. And there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripe, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men. So there ain't gonna be any work, ain't gonna be a functioning society. So that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. You talk about making a man more precious than fine gold. A lot of people are gonna die, man. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rocks. So in the city shall be 10 left. And it'll be a few men. There ain't gonna be a lot. Majority of them are gonna be going off out into war. And these wars are just, look at what's going on in Ukraine. They're getting a $90 billion settlement with the United States. We already gave them I don't even know how much money America is giving them, 90 billion. So you can buy drones and shit like that. I don't think it's gonna be enough, man. 90 billion to a losing war, that's a steep price. And who's paying for it? You're gonna pay for it. You're gonna pay for it. And he just did a deal in Argentina. They had a stock market collapse. Who's gonna pay for that? You're gonna pay for that. None of this money is being redirected into Babylon to make this place great again. It's all bullshit. I don't hear about any money being invested in your country, man. That's why you gotta be prepared for everything the Lord's talking about, because He's working. 2 Ezra 16, verse 29, as in the orchard of olives, upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives. Or when as a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. Yeah, they're going to be searching your house. They're going to be looking for those few olives that are left on the tree, you know, whatever. The gleaning grapes, that's what they're going to be looking for when they rob your ass, man. You got a spoonful of peanut butter in your fucking, in a cabinet somewhere, they're going to take that shit. You got canned goods, you down to your last canned good, they want that. And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travail therethrough. So everything's gonna be unmanned, you know. No one's gonna be taking care of this place. Okay, ain't no fruit. Nobody's gonna be tending the grapes. That it ain't gonna be like that, man. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. Women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. So, you see? Their daughters, their mothers, no bridegrooms, nobody to marry. Why? Because their husbands or potential husbands are going to be sent off into a battle that they're not going to come back home from. Okay? And the only men that are going to be here is pretty much the men of the Lord. Because if you get drafted, some men are going to be drafted. You know, a lot of men are going to be drafted. You know, especially, and you young people are going first. You 18. They don't send the old man. They send your young bucks. Get rid of y'all. Because they can bring back the nation, but the older people have more knowledge than you. You ain't got a lot of knowledge. They can just send you out there. You can die. You can get trained enough to use a gun or whatever. But that's how all the way up to the elites. But they'll be getting some old men too. You know? But that's how the draft was. When you watch the draft, they had a certain time frame. If you were born, you know, within this month, 18 years ago, man, from this day to this day, you know, go to your local base and report in 2 weeks. If not, we're gonna lock your ass up. And because a lot of people are not gonna wanna go, you can't send everybody to the same prison. That's why he's opening up all these other prisons. And you don't wanna go to Ecuador. I just saw a whole prison riot in Ecuador. 11 people died in one riot. One fucking riot, and the police were scared to even go inside because those prisons are different. 2 Ezra 16, verse 32, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old. I read all of that. Isaiah 2 Ezra 16, verse 34, in the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. That's right. So if the sword don't destroy you, the famine will. It ain't gonna be safe over here either. It's gonna be like a war zone over here. Fighting over resources, especially if you don't take the MOTB. There's gonna be people who aren't part of the elect that ain't gonna take the MOTB. Who the fuck wanna volunteer to get some fucking device put in their forehead or in their right hand? Only a dumbass Jacob's gonna do that. Majority of you heathen are gonna take it. But I think a lot of Jakes are gonna, a lot of Jakes are gonna probably team up with Esau. You know, they're gonna be practicing their First Amendment right or Second Amendment, whatever one, the right to bear arms, and they're gonna go out, not even with a bang, because you're gonna be fighting up against robots. Those guns, you're gonna get destroyed. They got drones. They're highly sophisticated. You're done. You're through. Good luck trying to fight a drone. Trying to take matters into your own hands. It ain't gonna work. 2nd Ezra 16, verse 35. Hear now these things and understand them, ye servants of the Lord. So it's not for everybody to understand this. Okay, the servants of the Lord, the ones who are going to eat, the ones who are going to drink, the ones who are not going to be ashamed, the ones who are going to rejoice. According to 2nd Ezra, they're going to have abundance. Verse 36, behold the word of the Lord, receive it, believe not the gods of whom the Lord spake. Yeah, these false gods, man, that ain't going to save you. You got to behold the word of the Lord and receive it. And only the elect are going to receive it. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. Okay. The plagues of Egypt that he's going to send on this place like he did in ancient Egypt. Okay. Some of those other plagues also involved contaminating the water with blood. Okay. So you're not going to have access to water. Okay. It's going to be contaminated. Good luck drinking that shit. And dying from contaminated water is probably equally as bad as dying from a famine. High fever. You might go from hot to cold. You know, your body shaking, your eyes rolling behind your head, you're sweating bullets. You might not survive that shit. And then if you do survive it, you're going to be weak as hell. And then you ain't got no food, you ain't got nothing. You're going to be out of here. So Lord, there's a lot that we need to get around. Never mind just the people and the doors and the graping and the killing and the dung, bodies all over the place. But the Lord got to direct you around all of that. That's how he's going to get his glory. He's going to get his glory through death, and he's going to get his glory through life. You read Mark the 9th chapter, there's some of you that shall not taste of death. Okay. Second Ezra 16 and verse, where am I? 38, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, within 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. So just like a woman bringing forth a baby, once those contractions start to come, you know the baby's about to come. She better be getting to the hospital because that baby gonna be delivered. Well, same thing with these plagues, man. They coming. You're seeing the contractions. You're seeing the different storms. You're seeing the different judgments that are going out. I just saw another video of a Lyft driver getting shot in his back. Just for, who knows? Dude just got sentenced for it. Some weird, and what can you do, man? Especially if you do Uber, but that shit, it ain't saying to fear, but you should be fearing the Lord. If you do Uber and shit like that. Bunch of fucking psychopaths out there, man. You know? Bunch of fucking people are out of their fucking mind, man. Never mind getting shot. People can't drive. You know, it don't matter what occupation you have, you ain't guaranteed to make it back home, man. So constantly giving thanks to the Lord for just delivering. If you eat, if he gave you shelter for the night, he gave you something to eat. What's that scripture? Be satisfied with raiment and food. Be satisfied with clothes and food, KJV. 1 Timothy 6 verse 8. It says, and having food and raiment, let us be there with content. Food and raiment, man. So not even a roof over your head, man. Now you're in the luxury. The Lord's putting a roof over your head. But the real thing you should be expecting is food and raiment, man. Clothes and food. And you're going to realize how important that is in the near future. Foxes have holes. Matthew 8, verse 20. And Yahushua said to him, foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. All right. So that's Yahushua saying he ain't had nowhere to lay his head. Second Ezra chapter 16. Verse 40, O my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle, and in those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. Yeah, learn about the pilgrims, man. Be even as pilgrims upon the earth. A person who journeys to a sacred place for religious reasons. They were journeying back to Jerusalem. A member of the Pilgrim Fathers, travel or wander like a pilgrim. How do you travel like a pilgrim? Let's see what chat says. Traveling like a pilgrim is different from ordinary travel. It's not about tourism or luxury, but about faith, humility, and purpose. A pilgrim's journey is spiritual at its core, even though it involves physical travel. Here are some principles for traveling like a pilgrim, biblically and practically. Travel with purpose, not pleasure. Pilgrim is seeking God, not entertainment. Psalms 84:5. Blessed is the man whose strength is in thee, in whose heart are the ways of them. Hebrews 11:13. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob confessed they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. And we confessing the same thing. Travel light, carry only what is necessary. Pilgrims rely on God's provision, not excess baggage. Okay, just like Yahushua said when he told his disciples, don't bring 2 coats, an extra pair of shoes, staff and all of that. No, because we're relying on the Lord to provide for us. Matter of fact, what precept was that? It was Matthew the 10th chapter. Matthew 10. And Matthew 10 verse 9. Provide neither gold nor silver, nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither 2 coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. Matthew 10, verse 10 teaches that ministers are entitled to their support from the people they serve, emphasizes that a worker is worthy of their food and necessities. Yahushua instructed his disciples to travel light for their short-term mission, but also established the principle that those who preach the gospel have a right to be sustained by the community. This allows for reliance on God's provision through the hospitality of others rather than becoming transactional with their miraculous gifts or seeking wealth. So I'm sure there's going to be people who are going to help us along the way, however the Lord does it. Someone might have a MOTB and still be looking out. You know, feeling guilty, feeling condemned in their spirit. They might even make a law you can't give no food to the I don't even know what they'll call it at that time, but just like when the jab shot came out, they were calling people the unjabbed. You know, but if you ain't got the mark, the unmarked, I guess they would say. If they're unmarked, they'll deduct your credits. You can just imagine what type of shit is gonna happen in the future. 2nd Ezra 16, verse 41. He that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose. And you're not invested in nothing. He that occupieth merchandise as he that had no profit by it, and he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein. He that soweth as if he should not reap, so also he that planteth the vineyard as he that shall not gather the grapes. They that marry as they shall get no children, and they that marry not as the widowers. And therefore they that labor in vain. For strangers shall reap their fruits, and spoil their goods, overthrow their houses, and take their children captives. For in captivity and famine they shall get children. For in captivity and famine they shall get children. 2nd Ezra 16 and 46. 2nd Ezra 16, verse 46. Sound like they're going to be taking your kids away, man. This verse is part of the prophecy in 2nd Ezra 15 and 16 about the coming great tribulation and judgment on the world. It shows the chaos, lawlessness, and suffering that will come upon the people. For strangers shall reap their fruit, outsiders, enemies, or invading nations will eat the crops and enjoy the labor that the people worked for. This echoes the curse in the law. And it also shows that, I think in a military sense, let me see if there's, let me close some of this stuff up. There's a, under martial law, if the police want to take your food, is it legal? Under martial law, whether police can legally take your food depends on specific circumstances and the laws implemented during the emergency. In the U.S., martial law does not grant absolute authority and is still subject to the Constitution. However, the suspension of civil liberties during a crisis makes challenging such actions in the moment very difficult. During a widespread emergency, if a crisis is severe and prolonged, the government may seize private resources to ensure public safety or distribute aid to a wider population. Examples include preventing hoarding, and that's what people want to do to get around it, They want to hoard food and all that. Authorities can confiscate hoarded food supplies from public and private sources, particularly during a widespread food shortage. And there's going to be a food shortage. They're going to be looking for people. They can tell by, they have access to your bank records. You know. Fucking crazy, man. Necessity: if military or law enforcement forces are short on supplies while managing a crisis, they can commandeer private resources. Let's look at this word, commandeer. Officially take possession or control of something, especially for military purposes. Eminent domain: the government may invoke powers similar to eminent domain to seize property for a public purpose, which could include food. In such cases, the government is required to provide just compensation for the goods seized. Yeah, they might let you keep your life. You know? Shit. The lack of food, shit. They're gonna make sure they eat first. As contraband: food could be seized as contraband if it violates a new law implemented during martial law. For example, during World War II, rationing and laws against unauthorized food sales were enacted. Violators had their food confiscated upon arrest. So, constitutional limitations, judicial review. Despite the expansion of powers, actions under martial law are not immune to constitutional and judicial review. After the emergency is over, individuals can challenge whether the seizures were constitutional. For example, after Hurricane Katrina, authorities in New Orleans were ordered to return confiscated firearms. Due process: while military tribunals may replace civilian courts in some cases, the federal government remains bound by the Constitution during martial law. The judiciary can hear challenges regarding to detentions by petitioning for a writ of habeas corpus. Habeas corpus is a legal writ, a type of court order that allows a detained person to challenge their imprisonment by requiring authorities to bring the individual before a judge to determine if their detention is lawful. Originating from ancient common law, the Great Writ protects individuals from unlawful or arbitrary imprisonment by ensuring the government must provide a legal basis for holding someone. The U.S. Constitution protects habeas corpus, but it can be suspended only in cases of rebellion or invasion where public safety requires it. So I'm sure all this shit's gonna be enacted to the point where that's what Revelation 13 is talking about. Grab that. Revelation 13 and verse 11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Okay, going into draconian laws. A lot of these laws that seem like, you know, in specific cases, you could violate the Constitution. All of that's going to happen. A lot of that's going to be enacted under martial law. That's why we're always saying things about these ICE agents, these National Guards being on the streets, because we know he's slowly but surely going to implement martial law, or Walmart law, we should say. 2nd Edge 16 verse. Actually, did I finish this? It says, Deuteronomy 28 verse 33, the fruit of thy land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. Yep, that's part of the curses. And spoil their goods, overthrow their houses. Looting, home invasions, and destruction of property will become common. And take their children captives. Families broken apart, children taken into slavery or forced servitude. Lamentations 5 through 11 shows similar grief after Jerusalem's fall. For in captivity and famine shall they get children. Even if children are born, they will be born into suffering, slavery, hunger, and misery instead of safety. Summary, 2 Ezra 16 verse 46 warns that in the days of tribulation, people's hard work will be stolen by enemies, homes destroyed, families torn apart, and children born into suffering. It echoes the covenant curses of Deuteronomy 28 and paints a grim picture of captivity, famine, and societal collapse. I mean, what more can you say? 2 Ezra 16:41, he that selleth, let him. I already read all of that. 2 Ezra 16 verse 47, and they that occupy their merchandise with robbery, the more they deck their cities, their houses, their possessions, and their own persons, the more will I be angry with them for their sins, saith the Lord. That's right. You decking yourself out for what? Yeah, I got, Montclair jacket. I'm putting up a new roof. I mean, sometimes you do what you do, but if your mindset's in this world, man, that's gonna piss the Lord off. It tells you in James the 4th chapter that being friends of this world is enmity with the Most High. I ain't even getting to the story, but that's the headline. What to know: Superintendent of Iowa's largest school district detained by ICE. Fuck, another black dude in a school full of women. U.S. fighter jet intercepts Russian warplanes near Alaska airspace. Okay, that's on your homeland, man. What the fuck Russia doing already here in America? First he's sending drones supposedly over to Poland. Now he's fucking with your airspace in Alaska. And these are the signs, man. Signs of the times. Starbucks announces closures and layoffs. Oh shit.
Do you know what's really fun?
Esau loves his coffee. You know he's gonna be mad about that.
Hey, we're Howard.
If you're used to a Starbucks on every corner, that may soon change. The massive corporation is cutting back, laying off employees, and closing stores. Many right here in Southern California. Fox 11's Chelsea Edwards live now with which local stores will be shutting down and what's behind that decision. Chelsea?
Well, there's a whole lot of stores that are be closing down here locally. I talked to some employees here at this location on Wilshire and Detroit. They say they have absolutely no idea what their future holds. They were told today that their location will be shut down as of Sunday, and that on Sunday they will receive further notifications or further instructions. But it's not clear whether they'll be transferred to other stores or whether they will be part of the nearly 1,000 people that are going to be laid off as a part of all of this. A lot of confusion surrounding.
Wow, a lot of confusion. That's overnight, man. They went to work on Saturday and to be laid off on Sunday with no clue that they're gonna be missing jobs. A lot of people have no clue that why is this happening to me? Well, I don't understand. Cause you don't understand that you over here comfortable, man. Everyone's gonna be faced with not working, being homeless, all of this shit. And he's making homelessness illegal. So you need the Lord. All right. Isaiah 19 and verse 15. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. I mean, very simple. Ain't gonna be any work for Egypt. Egypt's talking about America, according to Revelation 11 and 8. As a matter of fact, okay. Am I in the wrong chapter? Ecclesiasticus, maybe it's 12. You know what? Is it 12? No, it's definitely Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 12. And 1, remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. And that's what most people do. They wait till they get old, and that's when they want to go to church and get to know the Lord. Okay, that's when they want to devote themselves to the Lord, when they're old and had committed a bunch of wickedness and got fucking big ass ankles from eating pork and all types of shit. And now you're looking for mercy because you're going to the hospital all the time. You got different pains in your body, and they got to run tests on everything, and you don't know what the fuck's going on with you. And they can't figure it out because the Lord's just plaguing your ass. You're taking a bunch of and all they do is cure the symptom and not the actual issue. The actual issue are these curses and your disobedience, but they can't cure that over there. You need this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Ecclesiastes 12:2, while the sun or the light or the moon, okay, the sun, the light, and the moon represents wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Because when the destruction comes, that's when they're gonna be darkened. Okay, when those thermonuclear missiles hit, that's the evil day that hasn't come yet. That this is what you want to get, this wisdom before 2 Peter 3:10. When or Malachi, I think 4:1, when the day shall burn as an oven. Okay. When those thermonuclear missiles come, you want to get right before then, not while the missiles are coming. Ecclesiastes 12:4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. This is going to be no word for Egypt when the sound of the grinding is low. You hear grinding every day. You hear traffic every morning. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird. When you don't have any work and there's no work outside, you're going to hear the bird, man. He's going to be waking you up. Okay? And all the daughters of music shall be brought low, which is going into the music industry and how their music sucks. Okay? And they're being brought low. And AI making better music than these rappers. Okay? But the doors shall be shut in the streets.
This huge announcement. Signs slapped on the doors of dozens of California Starbucks locations carry a grim message: sudden closures, blindsiding both employees and customers.
And for them to just cut it and close it out of nowhere, I think is really unfair and unjust.
According to the Starbucks app, the stores say they'll be closed as of Sunday. The company's CEO, Brian Nichols, says it's part of a turnaround effort. According to this company blog post, the soon-to-be closed locations either don't create the physical environment our customers and partners expect or don't have a path to financial performance.
I know some of the people that work here, personally, and I feel bad for them.
Brandon Bedoya lives above the Wilshire and Detroit store in Mid-City, one of 7 Starbucks shutting down along Wilshire Boulevard alone.
I mean, it's super convenient for, us working folks that like to get...
And another thing about that is Starbucks increased the property value in that area. So I'm curious to see if the value of the house, you might have spent a bunch of money on a house whose property value is decreasing. Now people, because that attracts a certain type of people, these Starbucks and shit, when they looking into buying a home. Oh, there's a Starbucks around the corner? Oh, yeah. That Esau likes that type of shit. But it starts with stores like this, and that now they ain't working. So the community, when jobs are leaving a place, man, gets fucked up over there, man. Something to look in, watch out for.
Get up and have their cup of coffee in the morning, and with that, with it being gone, it's gonna suck. I feel like it brings business to the surrounding communities. People come to Starbucks. It's a big chain, and it might negatively impact other small businesses around here.
The company hasn't provided an official list of the
Definitely will negatively impact small businesses around there.
soon-to-be shuttered locations, but its website shows at least 24 stores closing across Southern California. Meanwhile, an unofficial list circulating online claims more than 500 locations across the U.S. and Canada are on the chopping block.
That's concerning. Kind of very shocked to see out of all locations, especially this one, which is a popular location, closing down. You go to a Starbucks, it's like reliable, you know, it's just like everywhere and on each corner. So it's just like for it to be closed down, I feel like it's like, what the heck, you know? I think it's really unfair, and that's like goes to show you how like screwed the system is. Like they don't really care about the employees or what like families have to feed. Like,
of course not. And plus, that's what they got AI for. They don't need you to press that button and pour coffee into a cup. That can easily be automated. That job is definitely not job security. If you thought these are the jobs that you're gonna get kicked out of these first. Okay, and then even Uber, every job's everyone's gonna lose their job, man. Okay, unless you take this MLTB, then you might have job security a little bit longer, but then the law's gonna kill your ass.
So we're hoping that tomorrow we'll actually get to hear directly from some of those baristas on camera. There are 2 local rallies that are scheduled for tomorrow morning. One of them happening at a location on Wilshire, just about half a mile from where we're standing right now. That's part of a nationwide wave of pickets that are happening all over the country tomorrow as baristas and their allies push for a union contract and also plan to be speaking out about all of these closures and the impacts that they're going to have. This is, of course, a developing story and one we will continue to follow. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Well, Chelsea.
More protesters. Just what we need. More protesters. And the Duck said that he was going to have some layoffs before the government shutdown. News Bay Area homelessness increasing in affluent Santa Clara County cities. Yeah, more homelessness. You ain't even gonna be able to afford your camper. If you ain't got a job, how you gonna afford it? And the money that you do have saved, you're gonna have to make a decision if you want to keep that. He said Starbucks closures start tomorrow. No warning, just tomorrow. This nigga here, suspect in Delhi, Arizona, Lyft driver, shooting, arrested. Nigga shot this nigga in the back, got tattoos on his face. Got some UGL on his neck. Nobody gives a fuck, man. Family awarded $205 million after 6-year-old killed in theme park. This nigga got handler mauled to death at Oklahoma Preserve. Then tiger mauled his ass to death. It says man shot allegedly trying to rob 2 off-duty NYPD officers at Penn Station. Yo, people are bugged out, man. People are bugged out. Yeah, right here. This is what I wanted to see.
If you think it might rain later, then all you need is this bare... The only hiking...
The U.S. government will shut down in 16 days if Congress can't agree on a budget before then. The state of negotiations are reportedly so dire, the White House is warning federal agencies to prepare for mass layoffs. CBS News congressional reporter Torian Small is live on Capitol Hill this morning. Torian, are there any indications that this reduction in force could include firings, not furloughs, meaning people will be gone? Who is going to own this shutdown if it happens? Is it the White House and the Republicans or the Democrats?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting that the Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, is saying that firings is essentially what's expected here instead of what's been traditionally known as furloughs, where people would be laid off temporarily but then able to return after. And then I guess the only true comparison.
So even a government job, instead of getting a furlough, because even police got to work. If it gets shut down, they don't pay the police officers. You know, and they gotta wait for a check, and sometimes that can take a month or two without them getting paid. You know, that shit, that's aggravating as fuck right there. They could be withholding your money for 2 months. Good luck doing that, and you gotta still work. That gives the government a lot of time to do all types of wickedness and hide and run with the bag. Shit could be running, you know, the same. Until, you know, the police officer's like, what the fuck? I need to get paid. Oh, well, sorry. No one knows what's going on. Shit's probably gonna be operating and they are already hiding in their bunkers, and you got fucking missile strikes and shit coming this way.
Comparison point is when we saw the longest government shutdown happen under Donald Trump's first term. That was during 2018 to 2019 for around 35 days. More than 800,000 federal employees were affected. Just under half of them were furloughed. The other half were forced to work because they were deemed essential workers, but work without pay. That's still what...
Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. And then around the same time, you got all these Starbucks companies, 40 of them in the Bay Area. And that's probably because I'm listening to the Bay Area news. Who knows, you might go to work tomorrow if you work at Starbucks and they tell you Monday, your job's up out of here too.
Impact quite a few services. That means...
Who wants to pay $10 for a fucking... We saw what y'all do, put extra ice in the fucking tall, and then you could pour that into another cup without the ice, and it's the same amount. Starbucks is a scam anyways. Make your coffee at home, go buy it from the supermarket.
Anything that has to do with American citizens and the federal government could see potential slowdowns or denial of services. But ultimately, though, when it comes to who's willing to...
Denial of services. Okay? I wonder if that has something to do with EBT and shit like that too. Government assistance and shit. You gonna be out protesting like those Starbucks workers. Nobody's job is safe, man. Even this dude here, he gonna have to take the MOTB too. It's because he got a fucking tie on and he's sitting in the White House. He gotta be faced with the same thing.
To take the blame. It appears both sides are pointing at each other. Democrats said if this would have been a bipartisan process during negotiation and on the Hill, they would have been willing to come to the table, but they're not willing to bail them out this time around like we saw what happened in March when it comes to Senate Democrats. Republicans, specifically the White House, is saying that Democrats are asking for way too much for a short-term spending bill. And to put this into perspective, this isn't an appropriations bill that would fund the rest.
Everyone pointing the finger. That's why it's going to be Egyptian against Egyptian. They can't even agree on something that benefits the people. They're fully giving up. This is why this system, it don't work. It don't work, man.
Of the year. This is just to get us through November, when we would then have to see this process happen all over again, Vlad.
And so there's a sense that both parties actually want the government to shut down. But are there any real winners in this scenario? In other words, Republicans, if the Democrats are responsible for this, they can then point to the inability of the Democrats to come together around an issue to better the American people. And if it's the Republicans, the Democrats can say, well, look, they're just playing politics. But it doesn't benefit anybody.
Yeah, I mean, the former on your point is actually pretty crucial, because during a hearing that happened a week ago with D.C. legislators, we saw pretty much the dangling of the carrot and the stick. There's about $1 billion that would go to restoring funding to the district, which is why Republicans say if Democrats are serious about giving D.C. its autonomy, they should vote to pass this continuing resolution. Democrats, however, are still pointing out the fact that they're just calling for the return of some funds that were pretty much stripped away during the One Big Beautiful Bill, the reconciliation package that passed without their approval. They're saying if the Trump administration can say we will restore what funding was cut from Medicaid, we'll also expand some benefits to tax incentives for health initiatives that was initially appropriated throughout the rest of the year, then they would be willing to help them get this across the finish line.
All right, Torian Small for us. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
So
ain't no damn work, man. We gotta be prepared to be his pilgrims, man. It's like the Lord said, that time is coming. It's vastly approaching. You know, but like I said, everybody likes to be comfortable. They don't want to stay focused on what the Lord, his plan and what he wants down here, man. Okay, this ain't the time to be like that. Okay, I'm just gonna end it. Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with the sword of destruction. Okay, so we gotta spiritually depart from thinking that this place is gonna last forever, because it's not. All right, this place has an end, and it's all for your benefit. You know, if you could receive it. But it's good to be occupied and seeing what's going on in the world, because a lot of people don't pay attention to the news anymore. You know, it's too heartbreaking or whatever, because people are soft. They want to be comfortable. They don't want to think anything's going wrong. Well, if you got the mindset of escaping all types of affliction and suffering, it's gonna hit you hard, man. It's gonna hit you hard, because you ain't willing to depart. All right, but I'm gonna end it right there. Lord's will, this was edifying. Shalom.